Thank you for coming tonight, taking some time out of your busy schedule and this beautiful night tonight to be inside with us. We greatly appreciate it. So for the first time in many years, LARCS is having an election. So tonight is the candidates night. We do currently have 2 open seats on our board. We have 3 candidates that are running. That would be Todd Stearns here with us tonight and Greg C. Jay Rogers is also running, but unfortunately he's not able to attend tonight due to some last minute change in plans. So he does apologize, but we do have a statement on his behalf this evening that Bill will read, who is our legal counsel with LARCS, with the I am your host. I'm going to help kick off tonight and end your evening. Bill is going to be right in the middle here. My name is Ashley Blair, and I am the Director of Lifestyle for the Ladera Ranch. And I just want to take a little moment and just share with you, because there are 2 divisions in the Ladera Ranch, and sometimes there can be a little bit of confusion around them. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with the 2 divisions. I'm here in the community meeting with the representatives and residents, but I thought it would be a better idea to set that foundation tonight. So, LARCS again is a community services division. We are a CSO. We are a nonprofit organization, and I'm going to read our mission statement too, because I feel it's very important to get word by word for you this evening. So we are an independent community services organization that builds a strong social fabric by encouraging neighborhood interaction through technology, programs, activities, and the spirit of volunteerism. LARCS promotes communication among neighbors, organizations, alliances, and businesses through LaderaLink.com, which is your community's intranet, and publications that keep residents informed. And our publications are Roots of Me, which is our quarterly magazine that you all receive to your door, and then also Ladera Happenings that go out every Thursday at 4. And so we are a sister organization, or we work in partnership with LARCS, which is your Master Homeowners Association. So the best way to think about it is they help keep everything beautiful. We help activate your amenities. So creating events at Congress Park, Town Green, your clubhouses, and we're the ones that help push all the information out into the community and partnership with LARCS. So there may have been some questions that were submitted tonight by folks that pertain to maybe safety or e-bikes and such. Those questions will be more targeted for the LARCS election. Tonight, all of the questions that are being asked are all based on communication or lifestyle things that pertain to the LARCS division this evening. Also, too, I'd like to let you know that LARCS is funded primarily through a community enhancement fee. That is a small fee that is paid to LARCS upon the sale of a home in the community. So I did introduce your candidates tonight. So again, we have 3 candidates running for 2 open seats on our board. Homeowners were given an opportunity to submit questions tonight in person and also online through Ladera Link, and that was through Monday at 5 p.m. Also would like to let you know that you will begin receiving your voting instructions beginning this Friday, April 21st, or shortly thereafter. You will be getting them by first class mail and email, and they will be individualized to you. Voting will be open through 5 p.m. Friday, June 9th. And then one more time, I'd like to just introduce our moderator for tonight, Bill, with Whitney Ketchel, the legal counsel for both LARCS and LARCS. And he will be the one kicking us off for the introductory statement and questions.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to start off by actually just celebrating all of you here, not only the individuals as candidates, but you as delegates and just members coming out to this. I can speak, I think I can speak for everyone, having attended a number of LARCS board meetings, and it's great to see this level of participation. It's a testament to why Ladera Ranch is what it is and what it has been for decades, is your guys' homeowner member participation. I'm going to start by introducing each of the candidates. Unfortunately, like Ashley said, Jay's not here, but I do have a written statement from Jay that I will read. But first, I'd like to let Greg Sink do his introductory statement. So you'll have 3 minutes to go ahead and
just to introduce myself, my name is Greg Sink. I've been a resident since 2002, so I've been here quite some time. I've been a resident since 2002. Live in Sterling Glen too. We're one of the Christmas streets, and if you've ever been over there during the holidays, we're the Frozen House. So that's who I am. And I've been a volunteer on the event planning committee for 7 or more years. We lost count. More recently, I've been on the LARCS board for 7 or more years. So total at least 15 years. I've also founded a Pennies from Heaven, which was to help the Nicole Brown Foundation generate funds for the domestic violence shelters. So that's kind of a little bit more about my background. As far as my role and my qualifications as a candidate, you know, I can summarize it in 3 words: dedication, experience, and performance. And that's, I think, what everybody is going to expect out of us, anybody that's on the board. Ladera Ranch is is very unique, as Bill had mentioned. We've been fortunate to have the resources and enjoy over 40 different events, services, and programs provided by our LARCS organization and staff. These services require a great deal of planning, oversight, management, to execute. I think a lot of people take it for granted. So while it may seem routine, it's very time consuming, and it is a complicated process despite what everybody sees on the outside. So as far as the dedication, as I said, for over 15 years, I've committed my time as a volunteer on the event planning committee, the LARCS board of directors. Besides my family and work, this is pretty much my only commitment. I don't have any other conflicts that might get in the way of me doing what I do for the community. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And then we continue to promote existing and new events to support all ages and demographics that fit our budget and our timelines. There are a lot of events that we put together, and we could always do more, but there's always a time crunch in scheduling. So keep that in mind. I am not going to bore you with the list of events, but I listed about 25 of them. I pulled them off of our website. We have our signature events: 4th of July, Spring Festival, Harvest Festival, all of those. We have a lot of teen programming, and the Teen Leadership Council is a big part of what we do to support the mentoring and a lot of the things that we do to bring those kids up and teach them how to lead as well, and to be part of the planning process for their events. Summer concerts in the park, movie nights, camping. I mean, I could keep going through the list. You guys go on there and take a look, and you see how many events that we do. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know who I am or the rest of the board members, but we're doing the job. I've also been the neighborhood rep, and I've also been the community activities. So experience, the board of directors have managed to provide exceptional events, entertainment, programmings, despite the difficult circumstances during COVID and our economic conditions right now. I've been on the board for 7 years as a vice president and the president. I want to continue doing that. I'll finish, Ashley, I promise. Performance, yeah, give him extra time too. So for over 15 years, we've provided exceptional services. I'm proud to say I've been a big part of that. Our current board is very cohesive, runs efficiently, and we need to continue this trend if Ladera wants to maintain the level of entertainment, recreation, and services that we've enjoyed. We continue to deliver year after year without any major issues. We've made adjustments for weather, staffing issues, things like that. We also recently allocated $500,000 worth of funding to go to pickleball courts and some other recreational services. Conclusion: we don't have a broken system. This is a very well-oiled machine. Changing it now would just be disruptive and introduce opportunity to complicate and hinder our effectiveness. Current board of directors serves the community because we love what we do. We don't get paid for the hundreds of hours that we're involved in. It's a labor of love. I urge you to keep the good thing going by reelecting those of us that have served you. So thank you.
All right, the next candidate I'd like to introduce is Todd Stern. So Todd, take your.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, everybody here tonight and people that are watching at home. And thanks for checking out these 3 very qualified candidates. My name is Todd Stearns, and I hope you'll think I have earned your seat, earned your vote and a seat on the LARCS board. I was quite a younger man when I moved here 22 years ago, at the same time Greg did. And If you review the bylaws, one of the qualifications for directors is that they must have demonstrated a commitment to the Ladera Ranch community. And I hope after I go over this, you'll think that I have. I currently serve as our executive director of our Chamber of Commerce, which I helped to reinvigorate in 2017. I originally got involved with the chamber because we couldn't keep our businesses open, and I didn't like that, and because no one else wanted the job. The Beach Fire building had been vacant for a long time, and many of us who have lived here for a while remember how awesome the community was when we had great businesses in the community that were vibrant and really contributed to life here, which we now have again, as you know. In fact, we cut the ribbon of Crumble this morning, our newest business, and they will be giving away a free cookie to each person who visits Friday when you download their app. And I know personally, I've put on a pound since they opened last Thursday. If you guys haven't been in there, they're pretty awesome. I also serve as the manager for our weekly farmers market, which I brought to the community 4 years ago and work between 50 and 52 Sundays each year. It is hard work, but it gives me great joy to see our residents with their families and their friends and their dogs, most of which are really cute, and we enjoy having them. Every Sunday, and the extended community that has developed around it. We are one of the smallest communities in the county with a weekly market, but its primary purpose is to provide a frequent, high-quality event with a lot of interaction that cultivates the sense of community that living in Ladera Ranch is all about, and also utilizes as many local businesses as possible. Before the chamber, I served 4 years on our civic council, where I focused on the extremely sexy tasks of infrastructure and street maintenance, and fought to get all of our public streets resurfaced at the time, which had been ignored for 14 years, by the way, and brought millions of dollars to Ladera. I continue to help out there, even though I have learned way more about asphalt than I ever cared to. I was also successful in getting most of our pedestrian crosswalks, including Benjamin, Cecil Pasture, Daisy, and the 3 under the Yukon Riley Trail at Dorrance, O'Neill, and Benjamin. I have rolled up my sleeves as it pertains to our e-bike, let's call it situation, and we'll continue to work all angles there, including going to the Orange County Traffic Committee meeting tomorrow to review their results and to advocate on behalf of our community. And I don't think they got everything right. I advocated with the Civic Council for bike lanes, for the installation of bike lanes on Dorrance, Roanoke, Windmill, Avondale, and Daisy, because none existed at the time, quite simply. And even though Orange County Public Works opted for the less protected Class 3 versions, it's something I'm still working to change and will bring up tomorrow. Overall, I think LARCS does a great job, a fantastic job. But there's not been a new face on the board in a while, and I'm certain I can provide that.
So thanks, Todd. So Jay did submit a candidate statement that I'll go ahead and read, hopefully in 3 minutes. First, I would like to apologize for not being here in person tonight, as I'm out of town on business, and Ken has agreed to read the statement in my absence, or designate me to read. I moved to Ladera in the Ladera Ranch in 2008 as my wife and I were drawn to the sense of community here and the full range of activities provided by the physical layout and community programming. In my first year, I worked with my neighbors to help organize block parties and became a neighborhood representative to LARMAC. In 2009, I responded to a posting looking for volunteers to sit on the LARCS board and was selected for a non-voting member position. This began my formal service to the community, and I was elected to a voting position the next year. I've always felt that actions were much louder than words, and I wanted a voice in the future of this community in which I would be raising my family. I am now the longest serving board member in Ladera history. Fast forward to today, and all 3 of my boys have attended schools here and have played various sports in the community. I have been a hands-on father, helping coach their teams, showing up to school performances, and making sure there were opportunities for them to socialize within the community. In 2022, I was recognized as a volunteer of the decade for the work I have done here in the community, regularly putting in more than 100 hours per year of volunteer time as a board member, coach, scoutmaster, father, and neighbor. During my time on the board, I led several initiatives which have been successful and continue to thrive. I was instrumental in restructuring both the staffing structure at LARCS and the implementation of a general manager to oversee both LARMAC and LARCS. Initiated the Ladera Ranch Community Scholarship Program at Saddleback College, which is now evolved into a permanent endowed scholarship. Natural evolution from there was the Ladera Ranch Teen Scholarship Award to outstanding teens who volunteered in the community and are going off to four-year colleges. Started the Community Partnership Program with the 1st Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion at Camp Pendleton, which continues to expand and recognize those who serve. We transformed Roots and Wings into an award-winning quarterly publication, which keeps the residents informed about upcoming events and opportunities. We transitioned the LaderaLife.com website from a community bulletin board to a resource for the community to submit plans, reserve amenities, and get community information from their computers or tablets. We did our best to manage the government-imposed lockdowns by hiring food trucks to come into our community during COVID. We continue to expand and improve over 40 annual community events, including 4th of July, Concert in the Park, spring and fall festivals. We have been fiscally responsible with our budget and have improved the professional management of our resources. In conclusion, I'm asking for your vote to let us continue the work we have started. Our board functions well, and we have our own succession plan in place, which allows for current non-voting members to ascend into any open board seats. This process allows for more continuity as they have already volunteered significant time at our events and understand the scope of our board responsibilities and how to best serve our community. Thank you in advance for your consideration and your vote. We'll now move into the Q&A portion. So there were 2 questions that were distributed to each of the candidates in advance of the meeting tonight. And then I have about 9 other questions that they don't know. And so Jay did respond with responses to the first 2 questions, which I will read. But with that in mind, we'll start with question number 1, and Greg, we'll start off with you first. So the question is, what contributions do you feel you can provide if elected?
So basically, you know, my volunteer resume speaks for itself. You know, I've been doing this a long time. I'm very involved in the community, not just on the board, but on a lot of other sides of things. And I can honestly say that I've contributed in my time in the last 15 to 20 years, thousands of hours to this community to make sure that we do get the quality of things that I think everybody comes to expect. I've tirelessly contributed just about every Ladera Ranch event that you can think of. And again, go look at the list. And I do it because I enjoy it. I enjoy the appreciation that we get, the positive feedback that we get from the residents when we've done a good job. And I think that's part of our job as the LARCS staff, or the LARCS board and the staff members that run these events. I want to make sure that you're all clear on our responsibilities. It's not roads and streets and e-bikes and things like that. This is programs and events. That's what we do. We're responsible for that part of it. So make sure that you understand that when you're talking and voting.
So Todd, same question over to you. What contributions do you feel you can provide if elected?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I'm good at recognizing opportunities to improve something, and I do not take no for an answer. I have the unique experience of having served Ladera Ranch in a variety of roles, both internally and externally. But it's my external experience that differentiates me from other candidates. It's why I was able to recognize that Ladera Ranch would like a weekly farmers market, and how, working with our chamber board, we made that happen. It's how I was able to convince the county to allocate $500,000 for our businesses to help see them through COVID. Number 2, I see many of our neighboring cities do a far better job including their local businesses at their events, because they understand how important their success is to the community overall. And I will work to do that whenever possible in ways that make sense. 3, my contribution will be to include you more in the decision-making process by conducting more frequent market research, preferably after each event, to know what your habits are and what you want. The bulk of LARCS events attended by the mass of people occur only during 23 hours. So it's important that those events deliver exactly what people want.
Thanks, Todd. And Jay Rogers' response to the question of what contributions do you feel you can provide if elected? His response is, I will continue to bring new ideas to the board along with the wisdom and knowledge of what has been done in the past and how the community has responded. Question number 2, Todd, we'll start with you this time, sir.
Okay.
What is your vision for the Ladera Ranch community in the next 3 to 5 years?
Thank you. One needs to look no further than our southern neighbor, Rancho Mission Viejo, to know that Ladera Ranch is falling behind. The ranch is very innovative when it comes to community amenities and events. Just this last weekend, we participated in their awesome Earth Day Festival, which was fun and helped to remind us of our duty to protect the planet for the little ones. My vision is to see Ladera as the model we once were in 2000, when we were held as the example for master plan communities worldwide. It is great that LARCS allocated money saved during the first year of COVID for new amenities, but that was a first. We need to be more consistent and resourceful in updating our community and keeping it innovative. I see us holding more integrative events with elements that appeal to all groups in our community, regardless of demographic affiliation. I see pickleball courts as far as the eye can see, and I see no more code browns at the pool. Just kidding.
Thanks. Greg, same question to you. What is your vision for the Ladera Ranch community in the next 3 to 5 years?
So my response to that, I'm one of 7 on the LARCS board. So my vision is limited to what we can do as a group, and the support that we get from the rest of our colleagues. And we do make decisions as a team. Most of the time we're in agreement. Sometimes we do have disagreements about what we're doing. We do have very diverse programs. I would totally disagree with you that where we were 20 years ago, if you look at the number of events that we did 20 years ago versus what we provide in way of services now, completely different. We do support a lot of the different demographics. That is a key piece of how we set our programming, from the younger kids all the way to the older people, all the different things that we do. In terms of us falling behind and comparing to other cities, we are not incorporated. We don't have the funding from tax base that you might be talking about. Our money that we get for our events is from home sales. That is it. So when we do that, keep that in mind. That's where the source of our funding comes from. We're limited.
And Jay's response to the question of what is your vision for the community for the next 3 to 5 years is, we live in a time where social media is dominating our lives and distracting us from what is important in life. My vision is to continue to provide outstanding programming and events which draw families together and allow them to create lasting memories. By communicating with residents via Ladera Life and Roots and Wings, we will continue to have an informed and active membership. This, in turn, helps maintain and improve property values by preserving our place as one of the most desirable communities to live in Southern California. We will now turn to the questions that are on the fly. So obviously Jay is not going to participate anymore. So we'll start with you, Greg. In the spirit of community volunteerism, please share your volunteer experience in Ladera Ranch.
Oh goodness, I just did that. That's why I went over that. I mean, I don't know what else to say in terms of what else we could do, what else I could do. Again, this is not a me thing. This is a lot of people are involved, not just the board. I mean, you look at the event planning committee, you look at our technical advisory committee that puts together our website, and we've revamped that. We spent a lot of money redoing that so that the reservation systems for all the amenities that are on there, a lot of the things, the communications that are going on there, Ladera happenings, all the Roots and Wings, that all comes from our side. And that's all part of what we have to do as the board. And again, just make sure that you understand what our role is as the LARCS side of the business and our responsibilities as, you know, as you're kind of looking at making these decisions. But yeah, I can't do much more than what I'm already doing. I mean, even on our street, and one of my neighbors is here, I rent a lift every year during Thanksgiving, and I'm on that thing 4 days straight, putting up Christmas lights. So, you know, I'm involved.
So Todd, for you, in the spirit of community volunteerism, please share your volunteer experience in Ladera Ranch.
I mean, you know, I think we kind of also went over that. You know, when I served on the civic council for 4 years, you know, it was basically a full-time unpaid job that I worked on all of these projects for the community. And, we were very active at the time, and I think did a lot of good. And our role wasn't to do events; it was to work on like things that mimic a city council would mimic. And I feel like, I mean, yeah, there were weeks where I'd put 40 hours in on that. For the when I started working with the chamber, it had pretty much fallen apart. It had gone without the attention that it really deserved for our business community for a while. And for the first 3 years I worked with the chamber full time, I did that unpaid. And that was 40, 50 hours a week. I think all of the candidates have done exemplary volunteer work for this community.
Excellent, thank you. So Todd, we'll start with you on the next question. LARCS holds service contracts with several large vendors to provide carnival rides, activities, and programs at large-scale events. What would be your strategy for evaluating vendor performance as a board member?
Like I addressed in my opening remarks, I think soliciting the community and the residents for more consistent feedback is a really good place to start, and to do that more frequently. At the conclusion of each event, when things are fresher and people remember their experience overall. But obviously, I think you can gather a great deal from the smiles that are on people's faces at those types of events, and the interaction. And of course, you can do it more methodically, mathematically, and quantitatively. If we'd have a little bit more time to develop what the criteria were. But I think the looks on the residents' faces and the experiences they have would be a dominant feature, and then following up with surveys and feedback.
Great. So Greg, what would be your strategy for evaluating vendor performance as a board member?
So we already do that. That is part of our charter. That is part of what we do every time that we host an event. We do surveys. Every time that we do an event, we do reach out through our various means, including the website, emails, things like that. So it's very important to us that we get that feedback. That's what we've done for the last 20 years to make the adjustments that we've made. We've had some dud events, and we've canned them because they were horrible. We've had summer concerts that's like, please don't bring those people back. We get that information because we do the surveys. As it relates to the vendor contracts, we're constantly reevaluating those, making sure that they are performing the way that they're supposed to perform, that they have the right staffing that they're supposed to have, that they have the right insurance, that they're on time when they say they're supposed to be there setting up, and that when they clean up, they're getting everything done. So we do have a process already in place that we do that and reevaluate them. Okay.
Community enhancement fees, LARC's primary source of revenue, has steadily decreased in recent months due to low inventory of homes and high interest rates. With factors such as increased contract maintenance costs, minimum wage increases, and the general cost of offering high quality events, what ideas do you have to contain costs and ensure social or sound fiscal management while meeting the community's needs?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good question.
We've been dealing with this ever since I've been on the board. It's always been one of these things, and we have to look at the cycle of home sales because that is the only way, that's our only source of income. And it's scary for us because we have to project out a year ahead of time when we're doing our budgeting. And so we have to figure out, we're basically forecasting what home sales are going to look like. And when we have a dip, which we've had a couple of them, we have to look at how we make adjustments. Do we cut back on the services and the things that we are providing to the community? We don't want to do that. We have managed our money very well when the home sales were up, and we've done a very good job at restructuring how those investments are put out there so that we can weather the storm when we do have some of these blips. One of those is right now. We're having to look at what we're going to do with, do we cut back or do we ride this thing out? So we have a plan in place. We have reserves. We're going to continue to do the service as we can until we are forced to make a different decision.
Thanks. Todd, same question. Essentially, with reduced revenues from the enhancement fees, What ideas do you have to contain costs and ensure sound fiscal management while meeting the community's needs?
This is part of the reason that I'm running for the board. LARCS and LARMAC both are both excellent organizations, and they have been in the enviable situation of having a funding model provided to them. As a Chamber of Commerce, that has not been provided to us, and we have had to raise our own money by doing events, by doing memberships, and generating everything that we need to sustain us and to build sustainability into the future, and had to do that from scratch. And we have gotten, I think, very good, we use very conservative fiscal management. But the fact of the matter is that you have to come up with other revenue sources. You cannot rely on the ups and downs of the market to do that. And I have a number of ideas that I think would be a great asset to the organization.
LARCS manages and has oversight over the community's intranet, laderalife.com. What goals do you have to continue to improve the website and encourage interaction with residents?
I think that overall Ladera Life does a good job, with the information that's provided to the residents. It's always updated. I check it frequently, so I see little tweaks that they do. And I think that overall it does a good job. I think that there isn't a whole lot you can do with websites. Website utilization has been dropping in the country for a number of years. I mean, like social media or not like it, people are using it. And it's an effective communication tool that especially our younger generations are using. And it's something we should consider to integrate more as we all age and people replace us in Ladera Ranch. But I think, frequent evaluation, frequent communication between staff can ensure that the intranet site continues to work effectively.
Great. So what goals do you have to continue to improve the laderalife.com website and encourage interaction with residents?
So a couple of years ago, we did a major revamp on it. It was a huge expense that we had to basically go in and kind of look at what was working and what wasn't working. Some of those changes have been the communication. Our TAC group, which is another volunteer committee, has done a really good job providing us with metrics on how many hits we're getting on the home pages, what's the usage of our website as a tool for the residents. And so based on that feedback, we're basically going in and making adjustments as we need to, whether it's reservation systems and things like that, for either the amenities or the courts or whatever else. That's a big part of it. One of the big additions that we made recently was working with LARMAC to get the community. Everybody loves the housing color swatch samples and getting those nasty letters that we get, but all the color schemes have been getting uploaded on there. All of that is now being done digital, so you'll be able to look and see that without having to go into Avondale and try to figure that stuff out. So those are improvements that we've been making.
So this next question is a two-part question. As a board member, how would you engage with the community to best determine the needs of the residents? And how would you incorporate resident feedback into decisions regarding community events?
The communication is a big part of it, trying to get that information out and trying to get the response from the neighbors. It's really hard to get people, force them to respond back. We use email, we use the website, we use mailers, we use email, and that's really important. We take it seriously. We want that feedback. We want the input from them. So as we're trying to make the improvements to what we're doing, that is important. And the more that people can engage, the better we can make decisions about what we're doing with the events and the budget. So what was the other?
No, that pretty much rolls into the second part. It's how would you incorporate resident feedback into the decision making regarding community events?
We do that already. We basically trust me, we get some great comments, great feedbacks, and then we get some that are not so fun to read. So, but look, it's important. You got to take the constructive criticism and make the adjustments as necessary. So
Todd, same question. So first part is, as a board member, how would you engage with the community to best determine the needs of the residents? And then how would you incorporate that resident feedback into decisions regarding community events?
I already kind of answered this earlier, but like I mentioned before, I think conducting surveys after events is important so that it's more fresh of mind. And then adjustments can be made and in a timely fashion and not like filed away for 7 or 8 months until you start thinking about the next event if it's an annual event. And I absolutely think that it's a good idea to figure out some ways where it makes sense to use social media as an effective communication tool. Again, I think a lot of us here don't like using it, but I can tell you from running our chamber account and our farmers market account, it has helped both of those organizations to reach out to our constituents and to encourage them to participate at the events that we do. And in terms of like how incorporating resident feedback, I mean, I think LARCS does a good job of that right now, and I think that wouldn't be a problem. It's important to to give the residents the kind of events that they want, and to incorporate ideas that they have, and to be consistent and frequent about it.
Great. So I will stick with you. Next question. What is the most important thing you want to see changed, improved upon during your tenure if elected?
I think the thing that I would most like to see improved upon has to do with the ability, what I think is the ability of LARCS to leverage their position as a great organization and contribute to capital expenditures and future amenities that there would be a possibility for the community to add. Nobody wants to be assessed for for new amenities because it's expensive to pay our association dues. So I think that is something that should be looked at, considered, and LARCS already did that in part with the pickleball courts and the money that they allocated during COVID. As far as events go, one of the things I would like to see, magic happens when we get people together, when we get people together en masse. And I would like to see more periodic events of people gathered in not 100 or not 125, but in the larger groups, 500 and 1,000, maybe not as large as the concerts, but in something that's in between, because that's special.
Great. What is the most important thing you want to see changed or improved upon during your tenure if elected?
We're kind of tight on schedule and space and being able to do a lot of tweaking and changing. And we do look at the events to see if they're participated. We look at the cost per person. We do a lot of metrics trying to understand what's good and what's not good in terms of, what people, how they respond to it. I don't know that there's a whole lot of other changes unless we get the feedback from the community and they say, hey, can we do this instead of this? And that is really important. And the social media part of it, we've tried. We have our social media feeds, but it's only as good as people participating in them. It's only as good as the information that we can get back. And I can tell you right now, we have announced that we were going to do this thing, and there's maybe 20, 25 people in here. Look at all the residents that aren't here. And so it's really difficult to engage people because they're busy. So yeah, we would absolutely make changes. Right now, we're going to make the changes that people ask us to make within the budget and within the space that we're allowed to use the LARCS property.
So Greg, back to you to start. Please provide your description of the role of a LARCS board member.
A lot of what we do is we engage with the staff that runs all the events. So Ashley on down the line, that has to do with any of the events, any of the communications, any of the recreations, the programmings, the different things that you see going on the summer swim lessons and things like that you're going to see in the Roots and Wings magazine. So a lot of what we're doing is looking at all those different elements and trying to figure out budget, contracts. There's a lot that has to do with contracts and things that we're doing to set up the vendors, making sure that we have the volunteers in place that we need for each of these events, making sure that we have the logistics and all the different things that are in place. We also do a lot of stuff with our community partners, including the chamber. And so we have a lot of that going on, that we do on a day-to-day basis every time we meet.
Todd, please provide your description of the role of a LARCS board member.
I think I would boil it down to something quite a bit more simplistic. The role that, to describe the role of a LARCS board member is to simply say that you are the cheerleader, you are the advocate for the community of Ladera Ranch, and you will do everything you can in your power to place Ladera Ranch in a high priority and to do good by it at all times.
Todd, sticking with you, similar to that question, please share what you believe to be the primary function of LARCS.
I see the primary function of LARCS to contribute to the quality of life of living in Ladera Ranch. Not the tangible things like maintenance, like Ken and his group do for LARMAC, but the way you feel living in Ladera Ranch and feeling a sense of community and that you belong, and you're a member and you are integrated into the community, active and engaged.
And so Greg, please share what you believe to be the primary function of LARCS.
So our job is basically to provide a product of services and amenities to the community as it relates to recreation and, like I said, the programs and things like that. In terms of how we do that, again, we constantly are massaging this. We're constantly going back and forth, looking at how we do a better job at providing that. But that is what we do. That is our function. Our function is the activities and the recreation part of the services that we provide to the Ladera Ranch.
All right, great. Thanks, Greg. Last question of the evening on the sheet here. So we'll start with you, Greg. What is your primary objective for serving on the board?
I want to continue the legacy. I want to continue providing what we think is unique. There is no other community. You can look in any neighboring area. It doesn't matter if it's Sendero or wherever. We're unique. We have a lot here, and you can go check any other place in the state or the country. We are very fortunate to have what we have. The community enhancement fees are very unique to our area. We are not charging for what the community is getting for the services through HOA fees. They're separate. They're completely separate, and it is very unique, and it is something that I think a lot of people take for granted.
And Todd, last question of the evening. What is your primary objective for serving on the board?
My primary objective for serving on the board is to integrate my volunteer experience in the community and to take the experience of someone who has done a lot in the community and outside, and to bring that internally to hopefully bring a fresh look at the organization and the events, and to bring hopefully some innovation and try some new things.
So that concludes the question and answer portion. I'd like to thank both Greg and Todd for sitting up here and taking these questions, these heaters here. With that, I'll turn it back over to Ashley for some closing remarks.
Again, thank you both, gentlemen. Greatly appreciate your time this evening. Just as a reminder, the Meet the Candidates night was recorded and it will be posted on the Ladera Light. We'll get that posted for the end of the day tomorrow. It will be located under announcements, and it's the Meet the Candidates announcement. We also look forward to seeing the neighborhood representatives at the LARCS selection meeting. That will be at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, June 14th here at Oak Knoll. I'm sure we will have beautiful summer weather that day, so we will enjoy the outdoors that evening. Just a friendly reminder, though, that June 14th is a mandatory meeting for neighborhood representatives, so please make sure you do have that date saved on your calendar. Thank you again very much for your attendance this evening. We appreciate your time. Have a good night.